things and that they can do now to get sales.
Absolutely, which is the entire ball game.
Yep.
One quick programmatic topic, and then we can get into it. I know some of you guys will end up having to leave early, and you'll be like, "Hey, I want to catch the rest of that. How can I watch the rest of it?" The good news is that we record as well as stream these things, and so once the session today ends, what we'll do is we'll kind of create a page. I might as well show it because I want to just show it. Um, we'll create a page for you that looks sort of like this, and it'll have, I don't know why that's not loading. There it is. It'll have the video, like it's the replay from today's session, and inevitably we end up mentioning like a bunch of links and PDFs and documents and videos and books and all sorts of things. So I'm going to send you this web page. You'll get an email at some point in time after the video's done. April, I think we sent it like a couple hours later after the video's done processing or whatever. So point is, you don't necessarily need to click on all the links or worry about all of those things. A lot of the links we will end up putting into the Zoom chat. So if you look at sort of the bottom of your Zoom window here, there's like a little chat box thing that pops out. And some of the links, as we mention things as we roll along, we'll throw in there. But other than that, you don't have to feel like you have to click on them. You can just listen, do whatever you're doing, and we'll send you the video after the fact. So no need to ask for it or worry about it. It'll be there automatically. If you have to go, totally understand. These things come up, especially on a 3-day weekend. So that covers the that portion. Actually, I haven't had you on in a while. I don't even know. Should I do this look the entire time so that we're both going? Probably. I think I will do that look. Okay. So you want me to kick us off, or would you like to kick us off? So, one of the really interesting things that we've done as a business, Art Storefronts, over the last like 7 or 8 years is, we consider ourselves leaders and pioneers, and we're really proud of the job that we've done in terms of the overall marketing plan and marketing education that we provide to our customers. We teach you guys how to grow an art or a photography business. We're really less a software company at this juncture and more a postgraduate university that teaches art, photography, business, and marketing. And we don't ever stop doing that. One of the fun things that we get to do on these sessions is really, we're pretty transparent as a company in the sense that we're constantly showing the latest evolution in our thinking. And where our advice has been really good all along, where things have changed recently is we've realized that every artist, every photographer, whether they're our customers or you guys on this call, you're all sort of in a different part of your business journey, right? Fundamentally underpinning all of it is everybody wants to make more money from their creative talents. You want the business to grow. You want the business to continue to be growing year over year over year. You're wondering where the hell to get started. What do you need to be doing? What do you need to be focusing on? And we realize as a business, in order for us to take the next evolution for ourselves as a company, if we don't start tailoring our advice and our plan to exactly where you are in your business right in this day and age, like custom advice for you, you're going to have a much more difficult time taking the next steps, the positive steps in your business. And so what we've essentially come up with is, one, what we believe to be the most comprehensive get started artist and photographer business plan that exists online right now, full stop. And it sort of gives you the ability to audit yourself, where you are in your business, ask the critical questions of where you are in your business currently, and then allow you to place yourself on this map and say, hey, if this is where you are on the map, what you need to be focusing on right now is this, this, and this. And the power of focus is twofold. Number one, this is what you should be focusing on, but guess what? Number two, everything else you ignore, because it is not moving your business forward in the slightest. And so we really love being diligent about that. And I would say it's one of the most groundbreaking things that we've done. We've had all these like great pieces of advice and how to do things. And you find that people just start working on one little bit of everything rather than focusing on exactly where they are. So what we'd love to do is kind of show you at a high level what this plan looks like, sort of have you ask yourselves in your head, where do you fall on the map currently? And what are you actually working on currently? And then, audit yourself. Are you working on the right thing? Do you think you're working on the right thing? Or is the business moving forward? Are positive steps being taken? Are you getting closer to sales and consistent sales and doubling your sales? So that's really where it's at a high level. And Nick, I don't know if you have any other color to that. I'd be inclined to just jump in and show them the map.
Yeah, what I would just say is that after 6,000 plus members that we have at our storefronts, right? And I think over 8 years now of running this business, and also just our history as entrepreneurs, building our own companies, starting from scratch, having to pivot, you go in thinking one thing is good. You've got your assumptions about what your product is going to be. And in the case of an artist or photographer, it's like the niche that you start with, right? You might start as a photographer, like shooting close-ups of flowers, right? Or you're painting the same thing. And it just so happens that that might not actually resonate with you and your audience. And your sales may not take off as a result, or you might not get the traction. And having said that, that doesn't mean that the quality of your product isn't good. It could be fantastic. It could be absolutely fantastic. And so if that's the case, then obviously you need to solve that specific problem and know if you're in that area. And every artist and photographer business, every startup business has like milestones that are very common. Okay. And what we find is that there's patterns in every one of these milestones, and there's certain things that you should be doing or not doing at each of these milestones. Okay. So when you're out there and you're reading blog posts or you're listening to podcasts, you could be getting pulled in a million different directions. And we all probably can resonate with that because it's happened to all of us. It's like you hear an idea from somebody or something and you're like, oh, I guess I should go do that. But actually, maybe you shouldn't. Okay. Maybe that's the absolute wrong advice for the place that your business happens to be in at this given moment. And so we've realized at Art Storefronts that it is incredibly important that we are giving everybody the right advice for where their business is at on this journey, right? From zero to whatever. Zero meaning you're just starting out, or if you're at $300,000 a year in sales, we need to have the plan for you to get to $1 million, okay?
Oh, did you end? I thought we lost you for a second. So let's jump into the map, and then we can kind of roll along and talk about this, that, and the other. So the easiest, sorry, that's going to look weird. What we've called this thing is we call it the marketing assistant light, okay? And whether you call it the marketing assistant light, or a formal business plan, where we sort of believe that this thing sits is like when you were in art class or you were in photography school, there would have been a class that said, here's how you start an art or a photography business, right? These are the best practices and the rules that have been learned by the industry experts that have been doing this for a long time, and say, this is what you need to focus on depending on where you are. So it's a suite of best practices and things that we like best. And Nick, I'm going to kind of just be locked into the view. So you just interrupt me and jump in when you want to jump in. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So it's a mind map of sorts, right? And just like a mind map, you follow a path. And there's Gandalf saying, you shall not pass at every one of these until you get it done. And I'm serious, right? Like what everyone does is they go and work on something else that's further on down the line instead of just getting the one thing that actually matters, right? That's actually going to change your business. So number one, you need to get your website up, live, running, and ready, okay? That's obviously a no-brainer, right? And not all websites are created equal, but we're not going to get into that portion of it. But your art needs to be up on a website. The website needs to be able to transact commerce. Yes, there's a bunch of rules there, but we're not going to get into those rules individually. Yes, your website needs to get live, okay? Number two, and this is going to be an opportunity for every single solitary person on this call to audit themselves, and it's going to be powerful. Does your website meet best practices, okay? Does your website meet best practices? Do you have price points on your site under $100? Yes or no? If not, you need to get them on there. Do you have price points from $100 to $1,000? Is the answer yes or no? If not, you need to get them on there. Do you have price points above $1,000? Okay. If you're someone whose starting price point is $2,500, do you have a price point on your store for $50,000 or $45,000? This variability in price point three ways is as important at the low end of the scale as it is at the high end of the scale, okay? Your buyers fall onto a socioeconomic bell curve. Everyone's does, okay? And you need to have price points for anyone that's on that scale. It needs to happen full stop. When you don't, you will never see the proper ROI out of your marketing efforts. And yet the vast majority of artists I see are breaking this rule. Photographers too. If you don't have the price points at those three different tiers, you're missing on potential buyers, okay? Which underscores point number two. You should have open editions, limited editions, and originals, okay? If you're a photographer, you're like, how the heck do I have an original? You can have the 101 that's only on metal, that's hand-signed, that's a limited edition 1 of 1 that you put in the store for $5,500, and you've ticked the box, right? So, you know, how many of you guys actually have open editions, limited editions, and originals, okay? The next is, have you activated merchandise, and are you actively selling merchandise, okay? And I love getting right out ahead of this one. Patrick, no. Nick, no, there's no chance. Merch? I would never sell merch. It cheapens my art. To which I reply, name for me the last museum you've been in that doesn't have a gift shop. Don't worry, I'll wait. Just tell me which one you went into that didn't have a gift shop, right? Because a museum, like anything else, is a business, okay? Did I just get muted? Hold on.
I just lost your audio.
Yeah, somebody muted me. Easy on the trigger fingers there, guys. I feel like I was getting in a roll. Okay, so let me keep going. Merchandise also, all right. And by the way, Nick and I will eat humble pie on this. We were so reluctant to offer. I mean, how long were you reluctant in saying like we're not doing this? We thought it was. Go.
I lean, you guys. I lean the fine art quality way. So if any of you resonate with that, you know, that was me, and Pat was there too. But we were like, you know, merch, it really can devalue the brand, these lower price points. And we you know, look, the truth of the matter is that these are just assumptions. It's like I was talking about assumptions earlier. Mm-hmm. And almost 100% of the time, your assumptions are wrong when you're building a business, especially in the earlier days. And you have to just ship it. That's what our phrase is, just ship it. You have to just try these things and test it out and see what happens, you know? And we did. And what we found is, you know, when you look at like a Society 6 website, or, you know, I don't know, like a Fine Art America page or something, like, and you're looking at a mug, it really does come across as like, well, this is like a cheap item. I don't want to do this. But when you take something like coasters, you know, and you could turn them into a limited edition collector's item where you sign a number. I mean, there's so many ways to go about it to make it a higher end type of a product rather than the traditional just low end way that you might be thinking, because that's how it's done on all of these cheap, you know, websites that are out there. Okay. So we not only saw that, but we figured out by doing it on our own with some of our art storefronts members that are selling over $100,000 a year, you know, and who were reluctant for selling merch. And we had them launch calendars and coasters and things like that.
Huge.
And they sold like $10,000 of them in a matter of a couple of weeks, right? And they were blown away. They were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I've been leaving all of this money on the table. These are awesome products. And, you know, there is a quality way of doing it. So you've got to have them. And then the other thing that I would mention, you know, when you're talking about the different price points, under 100, under 1,000, and over 1,000.
Yes.
You know, an important point there too, you guys, is that like, or another way of thinking about it is if you think about like 100 people or 1,000 people on your email list, okay? Let's just talk about it like 100 people are on your email list right now. There is only like, what, 3 people, Pat, maybe 5 that are in the over 1,000 camp socioeconomically, right? And this is not like, when we're guessing on this or we're giving a number, it's based on.
It's a little higher than that. It's probably out of 100. It's probably like 15. But the better way to say it is like, how many are ready for that right now?
Yeah, how many might be ready to buy one of them right now? So there's the number that actually have made a purchase like that in their past or would in their future, and then there's how many are actually ready to do so right now. But the rest of it, okay, I'll use his number, would be 85 out of that 100. Are going to be under that price point, okay? And then when you get into the under 100, that's really where, you know, the merch can come into play the most. And the important part about that is these are impulse items, you guys. Most artists just selling art, okay, are not selling impulse or giftable items.
Non-wall art, non-wall art especially.
Yeah, you could say that that an art piece you can give it as a gift, but like, let's just be honest. How often are you receiving a gift of art, or, you know, giving a gift of art? Maybe as artists or photographers, you might be doing it more often, but it is not a common gift item. Okay. But so the importance of the lower price point and the merch is that it's something that's, if somebody found you today They don't have a lot of, trust in you. They don't know you very well yet. They haven't built like a really deep relationship. They can still buy one of those right now. They don't have to ask their spouse. They don't need available wall space. They can just get one of those items. And I think that that's incredibly important as a part of, the product line of the artist. You don't just want to be sitting back here, waiting for people to have open wall space. You want to be engaging them and selling items right now. That puts cash flow in your pocket. And so that's why that's really important. And one of the things that, speaking about going back to the humble pie that we learned, when we started, getting our artists and photographers selling these items and testing it out, what did we see? We saw people buying, 3 or 4 sets of coasters. They would add like a sweatshirt to their order, and then they get like a puzzle with it. We saw like interesting mixing and matching of items to where usually the order size, Pat, would be like $150. Sometimes it was like $500. Sometimes it was $50. But we weren't expecting seeing that. Your natural inclination is to think like, oh, they add one item to their cart and it's a mug and that's only going to be $30, right? No. That might actually be the hook, and before you know it, that order's $100, and that's just as much as your 16 by 24 paper print.
Yep.
So why would you not do that, right? And you got somebody to order the item on the spot. So these things are really important. Artists and photographers for a long time have been kind of sitting back, hoping to sell those prints and that art. And it's a much harder business if you go about it that way. Much harder.
It is 100%. And ultimately, like it's a mental block that we all have because somebody told you this stuff was cheap and chintzy. And then when you do like the gift shop museum analogy, you're like, oh my God, they're so right. When have you ever been to a concert where they're not selling merch? Oh my God, you're so right. Right? Like it's you getting in your own way and the way that you're framing it. Right. And, I would say ultimately too, like I am a marketer. Okay. And here I was, a marketer, teaching my customers how to get people's attention, right? Like, here's how you guys get people's attention. A great way to do that is with Facebook and Instagram ads. And I'm teaching my customers to run Facebook and Instagram ads. And then I look at one calendar sale, and I'm like, oh, my goodness. I just stapled a Facebook and Instagram ad inside someone's kitchen for 12 months. Do you know how expensive that is to do in the digital context? Oh my goodness. So understand.
Yeah, you win it. Multiple ways to win, right? Yes, optionality. Yes. Always a good thing in your business.
Yes.
Having optionality.
So you can't poo-poo it and you can't disregard it. But let's keep moving on it. You need to turn on ordered bumps and one-click upsells. I did not invent this terminology. I don't care for this in terminology. The internet invented this terminology, and we're just going with what the trend is. So don't blame me. I'm going to try to explain this quickly. Let's just say I go to Jim's website, and I'm going to use Daniel. I go to Daniel's website, and I order that print that's right behind him over the left, right, with the sunset. And I put it in my cart. Before I check out, a little box pops up and says, hey, Patrick, do you want to add a calendar to your order for an additional $45? Yes or no? I can click yes or no, and then I go to checkout. That is the ordered bump, okay? The one-click upsell, after I check out at Daniel's website with my new, I ignored the calendar, and now I have my new sunset. And my credit card's gone through, the transaction's gone through. I get redirected to a confirmation page. Hey, Patrick, thanks so much for your order. I can't wait to ship it to you. By the way, do you want to add a sweatshirt to your order for another $49? Right? And so those are the two. And when you have these two turned on, what you find is without you having to do anything, you just start making money. Unless you think this is a new concept. When's the last time you went to the supermarket, the hardware store, electronics store? Okay. And what do they have us looking at while we're waiting in line? Magazines and bubble gum and duct tape and batteries and electric fly swatters. Why? Because we're sitting there bored in line and we're about to make a purchase. We might as well just grab this other thing, okay? So everything that's done online digitally has been done for years and years and years in a retail capacity because they've already learned these lessons. These are just mathematical formulas. That's all there is, and no one's ever taught artists, and that's the disaster.
And it's proven psychology.
Proven
psychology.
100%. 100%. The easiest time to get $1 out of someone is when the wallet is already out. Okay.
And something else I'll add to it is, guys, so we launched this feature, what was it, August of last year, I think, somewhere around there.
Yep.
This stuff works. I mean, it is, when Patrick's talking about getting your website up according to best practices, when you sign up at Art Storefronts, we make sure you get your site up according to best practices. We have workshops that you go to, and they'll do website audits and things like that. It is so important. And one of the things to check off the list is that you have these activated, because when they're activated, they work. They're working in mass for our customers. Okay. And what's amazing is that sometimes some of our customers, like, will have an order bump and an order upsell happen in one order, both of them. So somebody goes to get one item, they add it to their cart, they do the pre-checkout order bump, they add it, and then once they check out and they get the next offer, they take that one too. And people in our community are talking about how that happens. And that's just incredible. That's like, so you sell 3 items instead of selling one, which is all you would have sold if that's what you had. And so you can see, I think the collective name that we've given to these is like revenue boosters, right? Mm-hmm. Revenue booster features. And if you don't have them, look at how much revenue that you'd end up leaving on the table. So these are small things that all start adding up.
Yeah, 100% they do. And you see how everything builds on everything else in this, like, best practices, right? Like, okay, if you have these revenue boosters, order bumps, and one-click upsells turned on, if I just bought a piece of wall art, are you going to hit me with another piece of wall art, and then the other thing finishes in another piece of wall art, right? Like, you see how much easier it is with merch? Anyway.
Yes. It won't work. Like, the psychology doesn't really work if you're just like art piece, art piece, art piece. But if you're switching around and the software is doing that for you and it knows to do that, then you're going to be in a good spot.
100%. Every single solitary artist, every single solitary photographer on their website needs to have a commissions tab. And you need to be open to taking commissions. Now, I don't care whether you ever take commissions or whether you have any desire to take commissions. A commission button on your website represents a person that is holding a credit card up above their head saying, I love what you do, but here's what I really want, okay? And what happens when you do this, whether you actually take the commissions or not, is you have potential customers telling you, hey, here is a new subject matter material that you could potentially start doing and grow a huge business on. Okay.
Exactly.
It is further ROI on your marketing efforts. When you're out there and you're doing marketing, people are like, I really love what this guy is doing creatively, but this is just not what I want. Here's what I want. I wonder if they'll do it. If just by having this button, you're saying, hey, the price of admission is a credit card. Come on in. It is so profoundly powerful. I can't even begin to tell you. As a final, I got to get my stack for the show and tell here. So hold on. The next one is samples on hand.
Yeah, and this one is really important. This is one of the biggest mistakes that artists and photographers have been making for many, many years. Not having the actual physical product that they are selling and showing it to their customers.
And I want to pick on Daniel because he's got a print on his hand. Daniel, do you have right now, this size or smaller, the 5 main media types that every photographer should have and can show off? Okay, this entire stack cost me $170. Do you know what I have in here? I have a paper print, a textured fine art paper print. It looks a little weird because I have a green screen, but I can show that it's framed, it's ready to hang. I have a canvas print, okay? And I can show, I should make myself bigger for this, hold on. I have a canvas print, right? It's framed, I can show it's got edge-to-edge printing, it's ready to hang, right? I've got a metal print, and I can articulate and show why a metal print is awesome and the beautiful texture, and I can do a special zoom in on it if I'm so inclined.
Guys, the business term for this is called merchandising. Go ahead, Pat.
I can show an acrylic print, how thick it is, what's awesome about acrylic, and the fact that it's ready to hang, and I can show a wood print, okay? Fundamentally, do you know who does not know the difference between these media types? 100% of your customers, okay? None of them know. You guys assume they know because you're creatives with extra special powers of visualization that the rest of us do not have. Okay, you are blind to this in your life. When you have all of the main media types, you are saying, not only am I an artist or a photographer, I'm a subject matter expert. And it turns out, Nick, if I hired you to go door to door for me selling knives, what would you knock on the door with?
I might bring the knives with me.
Okay.
Show them.
You might bring the knives. What do artists and photographers run around doing? They're knocking on the door with the catalog. Look at these lovely JPEGs. You're not selling JPEGs. JPEGs cannot go on my wall. They're not 3-dimensional. I can't covet them, okay? It is a big deal. So the merchandising is a huge deal.
Huge mistake, you guys. Now you see, like, after seeing, and then here you go. Like, I've got a few others. Here's Coaster, right? Mm-hmm. See the nice glossy. They're nice. Cork on the back. Here's greeting cards. We never talk about greeting cards, and they sell awesome, especially during holidays, right? Greeting cards. Here's what they look like. You got your logo on the back, your brand, and all of that. Name of the piece. Merchandising. It's one of the, every time you go to an artist's website, you guys, now that you've seen this, and you look at their two-dimensional, just flat image, and then you see like a drop-down menu of the possible media types. There might be 2 of them there or 3 of them there. And you'll notice it's like you have no idea what that physical product actually looks like. Okay. Now, you as an artist knows what they look like, but the general consumer does not know. I've been in this industry, you guys, for over 20 years. Okay. And I will tell you that whenever I talk to anyone, nobody knows what these things are. You say the words gallery wrap or metal print or acrylic, it's rare that they actually know what it is that you're talking about.
No one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. Like they know like acrylic, but then when it's like, no, I'm referring to like a thick acrylic print like this with a metal post or whatever, however it is, or they may think they know, but like their mind, it's not the same thing. When you talk about like a gallery wrap, they're like, is it those, like those square things that you see when I'm at Starbucks and it's like, yes, like those are probably gallery wraps. So it's the merchandising is so key. And there's nothing tricky about this. It's like the most common sense thing in the world. You need your customers to see the end result product that they're actually buying. Like that might actually get them to complete that checkout. So if you for years have had a website and you're wondering why people are coming to it and a lot of them are not checking out, it's not the same thing. You'll notice with art storefronts, we have merchandising videos built in, okay? So that the website is like a robot for you. If they hover over the canvas option, there's a little question mark there, like where they can hover over it, and it'll pop up a video and show them what the canvas prints actually look like for you, okay? And you don't have to do this. We did this globally for all of our customers for every single media type. Why? Because there's no human there to do exactly what Pat did. The perfect thing is to be able to do what Pat did. And you need to do that when you're, posting videos and going live on social media. And when you're in person to be able to show customers, you need to have those samples. But outside of that, your website needs to do that job for you when you're not there.
Okay, let's get back to the map. Because you and I could go long-winded. We keep them on here for hours. We keep them on here for hours. I don't want to. These guys got Fridays. Okay, so let me get back to my map here. So let's say website meets best practices. We're back on the map. Do your social profiles meet best practices? Okay, if the answer is no, you might have design issues, low followers, or not enough posts. Okay, in your guys' industry, all right, the social media sites play a massive role in buying decisions. I know a lot of people like the socials. They don't like the socials. They want to post on the socials. They don't want to post on the socials. Every year, there are 2 huge reports that come out on your industry. They're the Art Basel and UBS Global Marketing Report. You can put that in the chat for me, April. And then the other one is by this company out of London called the Hiscox Group. These guys survey, okay, art buyers, the top of the art buying market, people that buy $100,000 pieces and more. Nick and I, over the last 5 to 7 years, have watched their little survey bar graph. Percentage of high-end art buyers that had social media play a major role in the buying decision. The pie graph just keeps going up. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. I don't even know what the last year's was, 70 or 80%. Your social media profiles represent the Amazon reviews of your industry. They represent the LinkedIn of somebody else that you're checking out, whether or not they're a credible human being. Ooh, this product's interesting. Let me go read the Amazon reviews. And there's 0 Amazon reviews. This product's fishy. I'm out, right? And then let's do it for the art. Ooh, this artist is really interesting. This photographer is really talented. Let me go check out their Instagram. There's nothing there. It's a ghost town. There's 3 posts and he's got 7 followers. This person is clearly not serious. They are not going anywhere. It is the credit check of your guys' industry, okay? It absolutely is. And, as I talk about the map, there represents, okay, a credibility barrier. 1, in terms of design issues. We're not going to go into the details on that. 2, in terms of credibility, in terms of minimum followers. And then 3, most important, okay, does the post makeup look like you know what you're talking about and doing, okay? And if I go to your Instagram right now and all I see is a grid of images without you holding any of them up, without you looking like you're an actual human being instead of a bot, okay? Without you and your dog occasionally because you're a dog person and now I am a dog person and I'm bonding with you over dogs. If you don't have any of that going on, you do not meet the minimum credibility barrier, okay? You're not there yet. You've got issues. So that's critically important. We don't need to get into that. Once that's done, okay, and on each step of the way, we do not let our customers go past this until they're done with it, okay? This is all you're focusing on because this is what gives you the best chance at generating something that we call MVT, okay? MVT stands for minimum viable traction. We have a number loosely on the chart here as $1,000 in total sales. It's very difficult to give it an exact number. It's a little bit different for everyone. But essentially, do you have a product that the market wants such that all you have to do is do regular, consistent marketing and the business will grow year over year over year? Some people do, some people don't. So I would ask you, and this only applies to the last 12 calendar months. In the last 12 calendar months, have you sold over $1,000 worth of art? Have you sold over $2,000 or $3,000 worth of art? If the answer to that question is no, we don't know whether or not you have minimum viable traction. And the only way we will know is if we get selling, okay? And so let's assume that you don't. If you do, you're out of the map. We have a calendar that people follow 365 days a year. It doesn't matter if they're doing $100,000 a year, over $1 million a year, or somewhere in between. We have a calendar. You're out of the map if you've got a business already. If you have a business, you have a product the market wants. Let's say you don't. If you don't, do you have a minimum viable audience, loosely defined as an audience big enough to figure out whether or not you have a product the market wants? If you don't, we've got to help you build it. And we have, again, on here, 250 email, 250 on a social platform. It's near impossible to get numbers that work for everyone. And the example that I love to give is we have an individual on the platform with over 1 million followers on Instagram. And then we have an individual on the platform that has 5,000 followers on Instagram. The one with the $5,000 outsells the individual with 1 million by a factor of 30x. Okay? So not all followers, not all fans are created equal. We know that. So these numbers are loose, but don't focus on the numbers. Big picture, it's do you have an audience big enough, okay, to get the work in front of to figure out whether or not it will sell and you have traction. Now, you could potentially do this without any email and any social. If you're doing 5 to 10 shows, in-person shows, you know, fairs and shows, craft fairs, breweries, farmers market, neighborhood shows, whatever it is, then you can find out because you're getting it in front of that audience, right? If you don't, immediately we put you into lead generation because everybody wants to do this digitally. Once you have the audience, we immediately put you into a 30-day rapid test where in this 30 days, all you're doing is selling, all to see whether or not you've got the minimum viable traction, okay? You have a product the market wants. Guess what happens if you don't? What happens if we go through a 30-day rapid test and we've determined you do not have a minimum viable traction? You don't have a product the market wants. Does that mean you're a lousy photographer? No, it doesn't. Does that mean you're a crappy artist? No, it doesn't. It means, sorry, okay, I don't mean to bust your bubble, but you don't get to just create whatever the hell you want and then have a big business, right? You have to come up with a product that the market wants. And once you do, you can build a business. And the thing that kills me about this and what Nick and I have discovered in running this is the best artists and photographers have known this for years and years and years, and they're doing it. Oh, BS, Patrick, how do you know? You want to know how I know? Pablo Picasso, when he died, had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. 45,000. Now, not everyone was complete, but what do you think that guy was doing? He was doing his own rapid tests, right? He was firing arrows at the target, and some of them missed and went into the neighbor's yard. And did he sit there and go, I'm a crappy artist? I'm a terrible photographer? I shouldn't listen to my mom and said this was going to be a hobby? No. He realized that this whole thing was a mathematical formula and that his audience was telling him he doesn't have a product yet that they want. So he went and figured out how to create ones that they did. Okay? That's how you build a business. And so
he was experimenting his way to success, guys.
Thank you.
Experimenting his way to success. And you not only experiment your way to success, you experiment your way to higher levels of success.
Yep.
That's how you get there.
Yep. And that takes us to the next part of the map. And this part is just critically. So let's say you go through a 30-day rapid test, nothing sells, nothing. Now we put you right into a pivot playbook. And a pivot playbook is just essentially trying a new thing, right? It's trying a new subject matter to figure out whether or not it's going to sell better than the subject matter that you have currently. New creative ideas, okay? New creative ideas. And this is one of those things that's like, it gets so emotionally wrapped up in an artist or a photographer's head, right? Because you've got this body of work. This is what you thought defined you. This is the only way that you're going to make it with that. And no one's told you that you have the permission to try as many new different styles if you're not getting there as you want. And, you know, for me as a digital marketer, it's so easy because what we do is we run ads and we take ad A and we take ad B that are completely different and we run them to the same audience at the same time. And all we're looking for is a winner and a loser. And as soon as we have a winner, we drop the loser, we write a new one, we put it up, and then we run those two. And the idea, you guys, is you're always trying to find an even bigger winner, an even bigger hit. And the idea, what Picasso knew, was that was the same game. He was creating different styles and different niches and different ideas, and some of them were complete duds, and he didn't care. He dropped the loser until he found another winner, and he just kept leveling up, leveling up, leveling up. And fundamentally, some of our customers, our most successful customers, for whatever reason, just have this embedded in their DNA. They've just been doing it for years and years and years, and they keep doing it, and it's fundamental to success.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but some charlatan or charlatans out there, Pat, they've got to be everywhere, because every artist or photographer that we talk to, I mean, they never come in going, I'm gonna try different niches, and I'm gonna experiment my way to success, and I'm gonna have, different subject matter that's likely going to get me there. What do they say? They're like, no, I need to figure out my one niche.
Mm-hmm.
My one niche that's going to take me to the promised land. Or they've gone all in on it. Or they're like, I can't start my business until I have, a big body of work, like 20, 30, or 40 images. And it's like, are you about to go paint or shoot like, 20, 30, or 40, 50 new images that nobody might care about? All you need is one that is actually a direct, accurate hit. That's all you need, right? And your job should be to go as lean as possible in this experimentation process and find the one image that resonates. If it didn't resonate, there's no reason to go make 50 more of them, right?
100%.
Move right to the next one, and right to the next one, and right to the next one. So nobody ever told everybody, and nobody's telling anybody. I think we're the only ones, right? We're the only ones saying the makeup of $100,000 a year plus business, you guys, are artists and photographers that are experimenting their way to that. They have multiple types of subject matter. They are not all in on one.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing you take away from this, make sure it is that. Make sure it is that. And then another comment I'll make on this too is that this is a really important point, you guys. Your ceiling for success, your ceiling, like the maximum amount of revenue that you can have in your business, is dependent upon your subject matter. Okay? Not all subject matter is created equal. So even if you have minimum viable traction, as Patrick showed on there, and you execute our art marketing calendar to a T every single day of the year, everybody's business will be different depending upon the marketability of their subject matter. So in other words, another way of looking at it is your subject matter, whatever it is today, has a market size that is, fixed. Just start thinking about it like maybe there's 1,000 people out there on the whole world that care about your subject matter, right? Maybe there's 10,000, maybe there's 10 million, okay? And so the smartest artists and photographers that have gotten over $100,000 in sales have figured that game out and realized that, okay, hey, I've gotten my business to like $75,000 a year, and I've been pushing the same subject matter for a while. I'm gonna try something new. I think this might be even more popular. Okay. So then by doing that, they take the market size of their business and they just increased it. They just took the pie and they made it bigger, right? Because if they were one dimensional and then they become two dimensional, right? Now their market size is a lot bigger, and they raise the ceiling, the revenue potential of their business. It's really, really important to think of it that way. Really important. And we always, when we're coaching everybody and somebody is going to do a new experiment and they're in this area where they need to be doing that, they need to pivot, we're encouraging them to be thinking bigger about bigger niches and subject matters that will give them much bigger potential, right? When they're doing their marketing, the odds of their content resonating with a larger number of people are dramatically higher. So if you take your talent and you apply it towards something that has way more potential, bigger things can happen. And that's the recipe.
So that's the map. That's our plan. That's what we have all our customers going through. It takes time. It's a grind. Early on, you have to figure these things out. We have certain customers that have been at it for 3 years, and the business is sort of plateaued at $30,000 a year. That's what they can do for their subject matter, right? And so oftentimes they'll be through the map and they'll be like, guys, I'm cool with having this as like a side hustle, as a side job, but I would really like to quit my job. What's the path? Well, guess what? Let's get right back on the map. Let's get right back on
Yeah.
the map, right? And so that's an important thing to say. And you know, I'm not sitting here lecturing, nor Nick lecturing aspirationally where you want the business to be, right? Everyone's got a different aspiration for what it is. You have some people that just want it to be a hobby. You have, if you guys are all here, you're likely don't want to be a hobbyist anymore. You want it to take the next step. But maybe if it just does like, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 worth of income, I'm totally stoked. And then some people are like, I want 6 figures. And then some people want $1 million. We're not judging where anyone's aspiration is or what works for you or what's awesome. All we're saying is, if you're trying to get to the next level, here's what we believe the plan is. If you're unhappy with what it is currently, we can always trace it back to this plan, right? And you know, and you and I are going long-winded, so we got to wrap it up. But to put a final bow on it, we actually have a complete in-house marketing agency now too. We launched it a year ago. We don't publicize it. We don't talk about it because it's not for anyone but our customers. And all that we do for our customers, 80% of our customer base have full-time jobs. 20% are full-time artists. There's a lot of them that have full-time jobs that are like, Patrick, this plan is great. It's amazing, but I only have 2 or 3 hours a week to put into this business right now. What can you do to help us? And so we're like, we have to figure something out. So we started an agency. And do you know what the agency does now? Put you on that map. It says, where are you on this map? Then they audit you and they say, no. This is where you are on the map. Let's complete the steps. We'll help you get there. And then let's get through it. And that's the game. And it's just maths, and it's nothing to get emotional about. And how often, where you focus, and if you work that plan, our premise is this is the greatest and quickest path towards success in this business. And it's not up for debate. This is a mathematical formula. There's no emotion in it. There's just no emotion in it. These are how businesses are built. Just no one's ever taught it in the art of photography context, right? And it needs to be taught. That needs to change.
The other thing that I'll say too, guys, is that building a business, you know, I've started 5 companies, okay, in the last 23 years, something like that. And it takes time, guys. It's never a linear path. It's up and down, you know, as you're iterating, you're experimenting, things work, things don't work. I hope a lot of things don't work because it just means that you're learning and experimenting more. That's actually how it means you're moving faster towards stuff that does work, okay? But when you're looking at like the rest of this year, okay, there's 2 big art selling days coming up, okay? In the next, Pat, I think one is next week.
Yep.
And then there's another one a couple weeks after, big ones, okay? After that, you guys, you've got Mother's Day, really big art selling holiday. You can't miss it. Then you have Father's Day, okay? Then you have a few sprinkled in over the summer and the fall, and then we get into Q4, the 4th quarter of the year, October, November, December, which is the biggest art selling time of the year, right? And so your job, the most important thing that you can do as an artist or photographer is take advantage of every one of these big art selling days and be in the game, okay? Have the right strategy, you know, execute properly, and don't miss these things. Because everyone that passes by, like Valentine's Day just happened. Valentine's Day, big art selling holiday. If you missed it, you just missed it. It's gone. You're not going to get that one back. But you've got these ones ahead. And so that's when you're looking at the rest of the year and what you're going to be executing on and what we're going to be, showing you what to do if you decide to join Art Storefronts. Like these are the things that you want to be doing. Because if you miss them, then all of the demand that happens during the biggest art selling times is leaving the market. So then when you're marketing outside of that, you're like the guy who, you know, you're hoping for these sales and you're like, what happened? Well, everybody just bought at these big times. So you want to position yourself to capitalize on those. So it's super important. So again, the next ones are happening, you know, there's 2 in the next 30 days. Then Mother's Day is a really, really big one. What is Mother's Day? I think it's the beginning of May, right? Father's Day is like the beginning of June. So that's what you've got here, guys, over the next 30 days to 90 days or so that you can take advantage of to get some sales in the door, right? So that's a really important thing. And to reiterate what Pat said, I think the timing is great. We have a big sale going on right now, which is ending on Monday because it's a short month. It's February, right? Monday is the 28th. It's the last day. So if you've been thinking about joining Art Storefronts or you just want to learn more, request a demo. If you go to our website, there's always a big button in the upper right-hand corner that says request a demo. One of our members of our outreach team will reach out to you and answer any questions. But we've got Brian with us today who is going to actually run a demo, right? So you can follow up with questions after the fact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hey, everybody. Hey, everyone. Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. Thanks for that intro, Nick. Thank you, everyone. I'm Brian, and I'm one of the onboarding reps. So I run people through demos, show them the front and the back end of our platform, and then what the support with the marketing looks like. There's a couple artists I've been talking to. We got Robin, Declan, Ali. Hopefully, y'all are here. There are some that I talked to ahead of time who this was the time that worked out for them for the demo. So when it comes to follow-up times with everyone, and I'll make sure to get to everyone who wants a follow-up call from me, I'll definitely prioritize them first. And then, last Friday of the month gets a little crazy. I got some phone calls, another demo coming up. So we'll all find times to chat. I'll have times later on this afternoon. I'm on the West Coast, so I work till 8 Eastern, 7 Central. So maybe we could find a time that works there for y'all. If it's later today or if it's Monday, we'll figure something out. But I share my screen and we'll go through the platform itself. So bare minimum of what you get with an Art Storefronts membership is your own website, that comes with print on demand, and we print your files just based on the high res file you upload on the back end of your site. I'm sure we have a lot of people in this meeting who have websites through Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy, my former employer, so ultimately I'll find companies, but not art specific platforms. We've been around for 9 years now. We've been honing on this platform, following what the numbers suggest is important for e-commerce and art sales, which we'll get to in a little bit. And same thing with the marketing plan, something that we've honed in for nearly a decade now, based on our analytics of what sells art, how to sell art, and even like what time of the year uh, art sells, and even what type of art sells at certain points of the year. So with that said, we're now here on our page. And like I said, most website platforms not built for art sales. So when you upload your high-res file of your painting, your photo, then a lot of times that platform is just going to give up that file for people to right-click and save and steal. That's the most common form of art theft, is people just stealing the file directly from your website. So what we do is we give, first of all your pieces have right-click protection, and then we give a low-res projection of your high-res file. So a lot of times when you drag and drop that file into a separate window on another website builder, it takes you to the JPEG, or like I said, you could steal it. Now when I drag and drop it into a separate window, it takes me to the e-commerce page where I can buy it, so it's the opposite of stealing. So now I'm on this page and I want to see what this piece might look like on Canvas, different sizes. We help you price really all your pieces, prints based on the fulfillment markup, and then originals, a little bit more catered price consulting to help you factor in the cost of shipping. But we're getting into some of our preview tools right now. You got the wall preview tool, a lot of different backgrounds, wall colors, and full disclosure, we have 3 different plans: bronze, silver, gold. This will start at the middle plan. Our silver plan definitely makes people want to buy a bigger piece, because then they realize a $50 piece of art is like a postage stamp. So now I can see I was going to fill out my wall more. And then to finish off our fulfillment, we'll talk about merch. I'm from Austin, so I'm going to use any chance to show a portrait of Willie Nelson. So here's Willie on a phone case. And we talked about this earlier in the meeting. Patrick and Nick covered this pretty extensively, but merch is optional, and we got a lot of artists who swore they would never do merch, but then liked how their stuff translated to greeting cards, puzzles. You could always slow play the merch. You could always decide what items I want to fulfill on. But, a lot of room for customization, and not just any phone case model, but definitely your phone case model, case styles, a lot of different options under the sun. And then, so, like I said, print on demand, pretty straightforward. You have the high res file. We can fulfill and drop ship the orders on fine art prints, merch. You can upsell people along the way, get shipped to your customer within a few days, and then the money shows up in a direct deposit to your bank account shortly after it gets shipped. Now, your original pieces, the stuff that's going to come signed by you, the artist. And we talked about this a little bit, but maybe sometimes they, if someone meets you digitally, they want a lower stakes piece, something that has lower risk financially. An open edition print, a merch item. After they buy a few of those pieces and they build that trust, they'll realize I don't have anything signed by this artist. That's when they're going to reach a little bit deeper into their pocket, to collect from you. So with that said, like I said, we offer price consulting on your original pieces, helping you factor in the cost of shipping, that kind of thing. We also recommend having a short romantic description right here. You don't want too much text right out the gate that turns people away. That's where now I have that drop down bar, where I can tell the full story behind the piece. And then video, right? Video elements help offer transparency into the artist world. We talked about this a little bit too, but we're blending two trades. There's a trade of romance marketing, and that is what has historically always sold art. It is about learning about the artist, seeing work before it's finished, learning about your process. If you're a photographer, you out in the field, you having your pieces in a physical space, talking about your photo shoot, that kind of thing. And then there's also the newer, and that's what sold art for millennia, romance marketing. And then there's the trade craft of digital marketing and e-commerce. So to blend those trade crafts, that's why video elements are important, to showcase you signing a piece, numbering it. That goes, if it's a limited edition, I should say, that goes a long way towards close the deal on your original pieces. And then you all saw the wall preview tool, the more advanced wall preview, augmented reality. Click on that and it'll activate your device's camera. And then you'll be able to see how that looks on the wall in your home. So that's becoming a more commonly used tool by interior designers. So it helps you strike, more enterprise level partnerships with restaurants, hotels, corporate offices, that kind of thing. And that'll be on the gold plan. Like I said, our highest level plan. Now, 2 accounts that you'll want to get outside of your art storefronts account. One is MailChimp. So here's this email pop-up tool right here. All the emails shared with you there go straight to your MailChimp account. Then I'll show you how the email marketing factors and everything a little bit. And then our merchant vendor for credit card transactions is Stripe. They will process your credit card transactions. They take the same merchant fee as everyone, 2 to 3%. Stripe is their merchant vendor. Maybe I'll use Square. Essentially the same thing. Same merchant fee, 2 to 3%. We can also offer PayPal as an option too, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and even financing now. So we did just open up financing. So if people are buying an original, they could split those payments over a few months. Pay a little bit at a time. But once you plug in your MailChimp, your Stripe, your PayPal account, it is time to hop into the back end of my site. I'm going to start building it. So click on Edit Site right there. It'll bring you to the back end. And when it comes time to add a piece, it's a pretty straightforward process. You have your high-res file. You'll drag and drop your high-res file into the product info page. And then our software will scan that file. And then it will size your print to go as large as it can before it gets pixelated. So that's where you can toggle, what sizes you want to offer. Available media, that's where you can toggle what media you want to print on. And you don't want to overwhelm people. There's such thing as analysis paralysis if you offer too many media options, too many sizes. So we're going to audit your site before it goes live. We're going to make sure it's up to our recommendations, your e-commerce preferences too. And that also includes SEO keywords. Y'all probably know this. SEO stands for search engine optimization, just a fancy way of saying showing up in Google. So we'll help consult you on the right keywords for your SEO, show up more organically in searches. And this is one of my favorite features, but for any piece y'all have hanging publicly, if you're on display in a restaurant, hotel, corporate office, wherever it is, you can click on Load Selling Sheet for that piece. And then it's going to email you this QR code. And then you can print that code out. You could tape it next to any piece you have hanging publicly. And then whenever someone scans that code, it will bring them right here where they can order that piece from you right on the spots. We can help you create business cards with your QR codes on them, catalogs with all your pieces, the QR code next to them that you could give to collectors at live art shows, that kind of thing. So a lot of utility for QR codes, especially post-pandemic, since that's how we all look at restaurant menus. And they're here to stay. Now, when it comes to building the website, you have 2 options. One, you can build it with our help. We run 2 onboarding workshops a week to help you build your website. We have unlimited support, and we also record all the workshops. You can always watch the replay. 2, if you want to forego that completely, and instead of building it with our help, you're like, hey, Art Storefronts, y'all build it. That is an extra charge. And for, I guess Nick mentioned we have a discount. We also have a discount on that service. So it's normally $1,500. They're doing it for half off, $750. And that's also going to get you a primary point of contact in our tech support team. So you'll have someone in our tech department who can build your site, they'll tweak it, make sure you get a version of it that you like, and they'll also take you on some Zoom calls to show you the ropes of the back end, so you can manage that stuff easier on your own. Then as far as the pages on your website goes, the design, that includes things like your bio, your commission form, your blog, your photo gallery. So, it's your holistic website as an artist, as a photographer. It's not just your shop, unless you want it to be, I'd say definitely the majority of artists, vast majority, use this as like their full-time, their primary, kind of their only site. But, as to each their own. Now, here's the handholding. Y'all probably read, if y'all have seen any reviews, you probably saw handholding support pretty much baked into the cake. Well, I click on the support tab and take it to the support center. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee. Make sure to move my mouthpiece away so you don't hear me gulp. It's the least I could do. So we're at the support center, right? And once again, support brings me here. So if I want to, first of all, if I want to know anything, it's there. Pretty robust help center, shows you where to click, what to click, to pretty much execute any function on your site. If you want to chat with us, if you need to talk to someone, want some TLC, we're right here. Click on that button. It'll prompt you to ask a question. And if the answer you're looking for is not there, just click on live chat and you'll be able to get in touch with someone Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Central. And they have a lunch break in there, so be sensitive to that. And 2, if you want to book a Zoom call with us for us to share our screen, fix something on your site that you need help with, just click on schedule a call with us and it will pull up our calendar. And then you'll just put time on our calendar. We'll call you then, take you online, and we'll fix anything that you need help with. More support comes from your fellow artists. So this is our private group, private Facebook group of artists. 6 and some change, 1,000 artists here, small wins by Art Storefront. So as soon as you join, request access here, I'll let you in. This is where artists boost each other's SEO. So, they do help, boost each other's posts to get it seen by more people. And share notes from the battlefield. Rachel did her first Facebook live art show today. That's cool. It looks like she sold a few pieces. That's fun. I definitely read the stuff that my artists do, on this site, and I cry. I cried not a lot, but sometimes. Paul, so Paul and actually just posted earlier today, and I'll just share some recent success stories. But you get the idea. People show you how they've been pacing year to day and all that stuff. David, he's a newer. I brought him on board, about a month ago. Very, very recent, and I think it was till like very beginning of this month, maybe. But after launching in his first version, he had 160 contacts. So we do trot out an initial marketing plan for you to do in conjunction with your website build. To announce your launch and stuff like that. So in his first marketing activity, he just posted this like a couple days ago. He's been posting daily updates. He's pretty gung ho now. He's all in. But in his first marketing activity, had 160 emails. Then Paul, he was a newer artist. Also had no contacts, had not even really painted until he'd retired. So brand new artist as a retiree, joined November 2020, November 2021, he said, thanks Art Storefronts, without your platform, this doesn't happen. My first gallery showing continues through December 31st. He sold a number of pieces through that gallery. And then earlier today, while you're watching Ozark, my rendition of Obama sold at Arts Gallery in Delray, Florida. So that was just earlier today, so selling originals. All that to say, this is a product oriented to make you a more holistic artist, whatever that means. Opening up multiple revenue streams, not just through the website, right? But helping you sell more effectively face to face. If your goals are selling, and everyone has different goals. Some people want to sell prints. Some people want to focus on selling originals. Some people want commissions or to do classes or the institutional route like Paul, galleries, museums. So all that to say, you can always orient the marketing and your individual goals, orient your individual goals, I should say, like within the framework of our marketing. That's what we're about to get to in a second. And then after the marketing, we'll do the packages and pricing. Thank you all so much for your time. And so with that said, we'll cover our business plan, because I always say the website is probably the least important part of what we do. The real value of what we do is going to be in the marketing infrastructure and the support infrastructure that you saw. So with that said, my site cannot exist in a vacuum. How do I insert rod A into slot B to, apply all the tools embedded on the site and make it work for me? So let's start with the marketing calendar. This is our business plan that our marketing agency has honed in on and created, always created based on the previous month's results and by proxy the previous 9 years, like we talked about. And then also what is seasonal, what do we know sells art based on what time of year it is and what our analytics tell us. So this is February. We helped coach our artists through a pivot in February. Pivots are very powerful. We have a lot of examples, small wins group of people who were, treading water in their niche, and then we helped consult them through a pivot. And, we even talked about that too. Like, if you ever want coaching on where the market's trending, that's also going to be baked into this. If you ever want to, apply that knowledge to your art, what you're creating. Generating leads. So ultimately, a lot of different playbooks on how to generate leads. We have a lot of companies trying to steal our intellectual property, and I don't want to dilute the success of the service for our actual artists and for everyone on this call who will be joining. But suffice to say, a lot of different ways to generate leads through the real world, social media, email contacts. So different lead gen strategies for what works for you too, right? Like ultimately, over time, your site is going to have its own analytics, and then you have more data on what are my most successful marketing activities. Like Makiko, like for example, Makiko, here's another example. Like in her first year, she said 95% of her sales were for original artworks, right? So like that was a goal of hers. And she said, I don't do every single marketing tactic. I only do the ones that feel most authentic to me, So even if when you first start, success means I knocked out 1 to 2 marketing tasks a week. That's a pretty good goal, and then a couple months down the road, hey, I'm now used to knocking 3 out a week. That's great. At the same time, as our storefronts, we're always going to be coaching you on like, hey, you're new. Y'all saw that flow chart. We're artists, we're visual people. Don't worry about like certain things, that are over your head right now. Just focus on these things. Just focus on these things and laying the groundwork. And this is going to help this all hum a little bit better. Speaking of which, right? Because we have this calendar, we have this business plan. It sells art. It's proven. Brian, yes, my art is unique. I know it is. And my problems are unique. They are. So how do I take that plan? How do I apply it to my art? How do I hone in on my niche, my voice? And, like I'd said, we get that. How do I consult for the market and where things are heading? So the workshops, right? We run daily workshops with our customers. Y'all got to taste them. This was a free workshop, if you pay, the advice will get better, So, and it's funny, we practice what we preach in the sense that like our marketing and what we encourage our artists to market is to offer content that is free of advertising, value-based content that is free of advertising, and then saving the times that you quote unquote ask people for business. Really more so I'm offering an incentive to my customers, save those for, like we said, the times of the year that people are really looking to buy art and collect from you. So just take y'all through the workshop schedule, right? We have our onboarding workshop to help you build your website. Do that twice a week. You can always watch the replay. We have marketing for people who just launched their website. So making your fair sales now that your website's up and running. Also, I should mention this too. On the marketing calendar, we pre-write all the copy, so it's way easier to tweak the marketing and hone it into your voice instead of having to write everything from scratch. So if y'all look at the marketing calendar and you're like, well, that looks very time consuming, just so you know, that's there to save you time. The most common trope I hear is people saying, I love our storefront space because they free up all the time for me to paint, because and all the time it's taken everyone on this call to Google options, learn about our storefronts, fill out a demo request form. Maybe you've had a conversation with the rep. You attended this workshop. You're on this demo now. That's taking hours of y'all's time. Now, if we take that same time you had, and we have our 80-20 rule, only do 20%, the time you have for your art, only do 20% to the marketing, 80% to the part that you like. But all that to say, all the time that y'all have taken to, beyond all these calls and everything, and you just apply that now to the marketing, the workshops, that's going to get you the viable traction that we've been talking about. Then we have marketing consulting for people making their first 2,000 sales. Once you've hit that threshold, how do I scale my business? How do I ramp it up? And then you have live support sessions. So marketing live support, hop in there, raise your hand and ask any questions specific to your art and your marketing. Same thing with tech support, hop in there, raise your hand and ask any tech related questions that you have. And then, we talked about MailChimp, we talked about generating leads, romancing your followers, not advertising them, just letting you know what the latest is, just show you the MailChimp integration. You'll click on that. It'll take you to your templates. You just replace that with your own image, your own description, links different categories on your site. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I see the chat, and I know that our marketing agents are answering what they can. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and get into the packages and pricing. And I'll take y'all through everything. I'll show everyone what's under the hood. And then for those who know what they want to do, and like I said, I have a few artists in here I've talked to previously, so I'll prioritize them in terms of follow-up times. But whoever knows what they want to do as far as proceeding, moving forward, just let me know. Raise your hand, chat, and I'll make sure that I get to everyone who wants a follow-up. And we'll schedule time later today or Monday, whatever works for us, and take it there. But whether y'all